Before I begin this video, let's talk about the elephant in the room. After years of straightening my hair and growing out my pixie for the last 9 months, I made a video about that if you want to see about that process. I am attempting to get my waves back, and we'll see how it goes. If you have wavy or curly hair, then you know that it's a pain in the ass to go through this transformation, and it takes a while. Most hair days in the beginning are rather bad and totally inconsistent. Today is no exception, but we'll see how long I can stand it before I go back to the flat iron. Okay, on to today's video. There are so many bags out there that resemble the Kelly bag and have that trapezoid shape and structure in so many price points. And I actually own a few that I want to share with you. Some of them are very similar to the Kelly, even down to the sangles and the turn lock, while others have the general shape, but the hardware is different. Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to La Paz Bound. So before I get into the bags that I think are great alternatives to the Hermès Kelly, I wanted to take a minute to express my sincere gratitude to everyone that watched my video on This Is Not Luxury. It is my highest performing video, and I gained a lot of new subscribers from it. My channel's been kind of chugging along since last November, and that video was out for a couple of weeks before it just took off. And my husband and I were amazed not only with the viewership, but also with the amount of comments. I received so many positive and encouraging comments, and I've tried to respond to all of them. Some of the comments were a little bit snarky. A couple of them wanted me to find religion. And a few took issue with me referring to my bags and cars as she. But overwhelmingly, the comments and responses, they were amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate all of you watching, commenting, and subscribing. It really does help my little channel grow. Okay, let's get into the bags that I feel are really nice alternatives to the Hermès Kelly bag. So I'm going to start with the lowest price points without sacrificing quality and work our way up. All of these are designer brands, and like I said, I own a few of these. I would love to own more of them, and maybe once my debt is paid for and an emergency fund is saved and I can pay in cash for them, I might incorporate one more into the mix. We'll see how I feel when we are at that point. Okay, let's start with Bally. So Bally is actually a Swiss luxury brand that has been around for like 200 years. And I've known about Bally since the 80s, and they are very nice quality bags. And in the 80s and the 90s, Bally actually created a Kelly bag called the two-way. And of the 8 bags in this video, the Bally two-way is almost identical to the Hermès Kelly at a fraction of the cost. They made a cellier and a retourne style. I have the smaller retourne style, probably equivalent to a Kelly 25, but they did make larger sizes such as the 32 centimeter in box leather and other leathers. So some of the Bally bags have the logo on them. Mine has the logo right in the front. Mine didn't come with a strap or a lock or keys. Some of them just have the branding on the lock and on the inside and on the sangles. So what will a vintage Bally two-way set you back at, and how do you get your hands on one of these? Mine was $200, and they go up to about $450. I've seen them on the RealReal, but I think your best bet is through a reputable Japanese seller on eBay, which is where I got mine. Let me know what you think about the Bally two-way in the comments, and if you own one of these. Next up in order of lowest to highest price point is the Louis Vuitton Malherbe. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So these bags have been around since the late 90s, and I believe they come in the monogram canvas and in epi, which is what I have here. I have seen them in green, in black, in cognac colors. Well, these don't exactly look like an Hermès Kelly. They do have the top handle, they have the trapezoid shape, and they tend to have more of a cellier structure, which I think is more elegant looking than the retourne, which tends to be more slouchy and casual, in my opinion. So unlike the vintage Bally bags, the Malherbe, they're quite plentiful in the pre-loved market. You can find them on the RealReal, Fashion File, Vestiaire, Rebag. I think the better price points, again, they're on eBay through Japanese sellers, and that's where I got mine. I paid $350 for this one. So you are not going to break the bank with this lovely bag or the Bally two-way. Let's talk Gucci. Gucci is one of my favorite designers. I have owned Gucci bags and shoes since Tom Ford days. I owned that 90s fanny pack that Carrie Bradshaw was wearing in the scene where she throws rocks at Aiden's window and she tries to win him back.
Holding me and
you broke my heart!
Mine was in a different color, but I actually purchased it in Italy, the one and only time that I have visited Italy. And I held on to it for years. So the Gucci bag that I think most resembles an Hermès Kelly is the vintage Gucci Lady Lock two-way. Kind of like the Bally two-way, one of these will pop up on the pre-loved market every now and again. Just like an Hermès Kelly, they come with a strap and keys, but the lock is actually integrated into the clasp rather than a separate component. And they're about the size of a Kelly 25, although they did make them in more of a rectangular shape as well. So how much is the vintage Gucci Lady Lock two-way bag? I've seen them anywhere from $400 to $700, depending on the condition. A similar price point to the Gucci Lady Lock is the Ferragamo two-way. So I've seen these in leather and suede and different sizes, and the price point for a vintage Ferragamo is anywhere from like $200 to $700, with an average price point around $400 to $500. These bags were released in the 90s, and just like the Louis Vuitton, there's a lot of them out there. So if the Ferragamo hug bag is not in your price point, maybe one of these two-ways will work for you. Okay, bag number 5 that resembles an Hermès Kelly at a much better price point is a Tod's Tea Timeless Top Handle bag. So I don't own this bag, but I love it. And I've talked about Tod's in the past. I think this is an amazing brand. The quality, top notch in my opinion. In fact, I own a Tod's bag. It's a larger bag, and I think it's called the Cape Tote. It's the one that you saw in our video on our first attempt at going to Mexico to get our residency. It's a large tote, and I got it off the RealReal for $180, and it looks like it's barely been used. When my husband and I were in New York City in 2022 to see Sarah Jessica and Matthew in the Play Plaza Suite, I had set aside money to buy a pair of really nice leather loafers. I went to Dior, I went to Hermès, and what I ended up getting was a pair of Tod's loafers that I still own and wear and I love. They were the most comfortable fitting loafer of the 3 brands that I tried. So comfortable that I also own them in burgundy. So I will sing Tod's praises all day long. I also own a pair of sandals from Tod's as well. So it goes without saying that I would totally buy this bag if I wasn't trying to pay off debt. The price point for a Tod's Tea Timeless Top Handle bag on the pre-loved market, and they're popping up more and more, it can be anywhere from like $700 to $1,000. So definitely more expensive than the first 4 bags that I covered. Next up is another one of my favorite brands, and that is Saint Laurent. I have 2 Saint Laurent bags that I do not intend to part with. I also have a card holder. I think the quality is there, but I have seen some pretty beat up bags on the pre-loved market. I think it's the college bag that doesn't wear very well. I've had no problems with my bags, and I'll do a video on the bags that I decided to keep during the big sell-off and what my reasons were. Unfortunately, Saint Laurent doesn't really hold its value. And like I've said in my prior video, in my opinion, I don't think any of these bags are investments. They're pretty. My bags are like little works of art to me, and I enjoy them. But by no means are they worth going into debt over. Take it from me, I have learned the hard way. That being said, I own the Saint Laurent Cassandra in the medium size. I used to have the mini, but it was way too small, so I sold it. The medium size is much better, although, I hate the divider that's inside. I also thought that the strap was removable. It's not. I'm not a fan of straps on top handle bags. I think a strap on a very structured top handle bag makes the bag look less polished. But the Cassandra meets the criteria with its structured cellier-like form and trapezoid shape, along with the strap and the beautiful gold hardware. The medium size is equivalent to an Hermès Kelly 25. I think the Cassandra would be perfect if it came in a 32 centimeter size. Since the Saint Laurent bags don't really hold their value, you can get a medium Cassandra on the pre-loved market for $1,000 to $1,500, maybe more depending on what shape the bag is in. The next two bags, if bought on the pre-loved market, can be around the same price point of $2,000 to $3,000. So we're getting a little more expensive now. The first one is the Celine 16. Now, I own the Celine Teen 16, which I wasn't crazy about at first because it has that big guitar strap that sits kind of weird on my body. But since adding the gold hardware bag extenders that I got off of Amazon, it's now one of my favorite smaller bags. The Celine 16 top handle, which comes in two sizes, small and medium, very beautiful, very structured, very elegant. A lot of people have described this bag as the epitome of quiet luxury. This is another bag that if I could afford it, it would be a bag that I'd love to own. So just like the Hermès Kelly, the Celine 16 top handle has a turn lock, it has the strap, the clochette, the keys. It's just a stunning looking bag. And the final bag that resembles the Hermès Kelly is actually a Kelly, the Chanel Kelly to be exact. A vintage Chanel Kelly in caviar leather on the pre-loved market, it's around $2,500 to $4,000. It's not a price point for everyone. So if you're looking for a lower price point, I think the bags that I mentioned earlier in this video would be excellent substitutions for the Hermès Kelly bag. So as you can see, there's a lot of options, more than what I've mentioned in this video, for obtaining the look of an Hermès Kelly bag without the price and the hassle. Because we all know that unless you're a celebrity or you're just loaded, that you can't just walk in off the street and buy one of these bags. You have to play the game, buy the other crap, or pay the insane markup on the pre-loved market. And if you're in the position to do that, and that's what you want, now would be a good time to buy the dip. Let me know in the comments if you have any of these bags or other recommendations. And thank you again for watching my videos, chatting with me, and subscribing. I love making videos on this channel. Until next time, hasta luego, my friends.